Have y'all ever had a snow globe shatter on you before? To me, snow globes are a physical representation of a memory that you can make last forever. What I mean is, if you're ever home alone and you miss your white Christmas or a skiing holiday with your family or whatever, all you have to do really is just shake the little thing, watch the snowfall, and then suddenly, there it is, it's December all over again, right here in your little studio dorm room, and you don't have to feel so sad anymore. Okay, now so I was raised Buddhist and have never seen snow in my life, but I did own a snow globe, so that's the authority I have over this subject. My snow globe had this little sculpture of a young couple sitting inside. It's got this sort of like precious moments sort of look to it. And when you wind it up, the couple would slowly rotate as this beautiful music box rendition of Memory plays. You know, like from the Cats musical. And I don't know, it was so cute. It was like my favorite thing in the world. One day though, while I was playing with it, the snow globe just slipped out of my hands and shattered into a million pieces on the floor. It was rather grotesque. I remember there was glass everywhere, the tiny couple was completely beheaded, and sort of swimming through the sea of glass shards was this like glittery puddle of gross snow globe blood. And then after my parents got rid of the carnage, all that survived of that snow globe was the music box. Its rendition of Memory. As a naturally sentimental child, it made me sad every time I looked at it because, like, it would remind me of how I had something that was so precious to me and then I literally fumbled it. Sometimes just to inhale what's left of joy. I would have been out here, crouching next to that little thing, and just because the music box needed to be manually spun for it to work again, I would be creating some serious red sores between the valley of my fingernails, and I would go through all this, just so that a distorted version of Memory could serenade the wind, and the empty space, and me. Anyway.
Don't speak. I know what you're saying. Stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts.
Hello, Earth Dimension. My name is Nayaka. I am a certified daydreamer, digital artist, and one of 3 million people who unfortunately know who Dill Halter is. Welcome back to Playlist the Color Palettes. This is a series where I take a song from my playlist and draw something using only the colors that I associate with it. So far, we've done pink and orange, which you can watch through the little card above. And since we are 2/7 into this kind of rainbow, I thought that today on Playlist the Color Palettes, we should be doing a yellow illustration based on POSTMODERN JUKEBOX and Haley Reinhardt's cover of Don't Speak. And also, just to quickly get this out of the way, what you're looking at on screen right now is me being incredibly indecisive on how I want to go about posing my Sims on a progressively elongating canvas. When I showed this drawing to a friend of mine, he called it a comic with no panels, and he's right, but what I actually did was animate this entire choreography and then extract just the keyframes so that I could like stack them up into this like long canvas, just so that you could see like the full story. Each frame is supposed to represent a key moment in my Sims' love life, but as to why I picked this song and why I picked Sims 4 as the subject of this drawing, it's a long story and I'll explain later. So before we get into all of that, what even is a yellow song anyway? So, yellow comes in all sorts of shades and undertones, but I feel like one common thing we can all agree on is that yellow is a very stereotypically happy color, and a very innocent, childlike kind of happiness too. Now, I can't honestly describe to you why a song can feel yellow to me, but what I do know is that when a yellow-coded song has sad lyrics instead, I find that there's often still a dimension of that childlike sense of nostalgia and sentimentality attached to it, which altogether concocts this like sweet sorbet of bitter grief. I love it. Now with that, a very similar thing could be said about POSTMODERN JUKEBOX and Haley Reinhardt's cover of Don't Speak, which to me is this like yellow with a very specific amber golden brown undertone. Alright, so a bit of history. This song, Don't Speak, was originally performed by the band No Doubt, which is like, I don't know, Gwen Stefani's mothership, let's say. And from what I've heard, Don't Speak was originally written by Gwen and her brother as some sort of love song to Gwen's, at the time, boyfriend of 7 years. However, when that relationship came to its end, this song would also find itself demolished, renovated, top to bottom, remodeled, hence turning Don't Speak into what it is today. With that said, I think the thing I love the most about this song is that you can really hear how fresh the breakup was. To me, the words kind of say that while she's stuck in limbo between acceptance and denial that this guy is her ex now, she's still trying her best to think of him fondly. Now, with all that, I know you're probably on the other side of the screen thinking, if Don't Speak is so good, why did I have to pick the cover over the original for this video, right? Well, see, I'm already a pretty big fan of postmodern jukebox. Like, pop and jazz are like my two favorite genres, so next to Leve, this channel is like literally my bread and butter. Like, it is my actual religion. However, where I feel as if most of their stuff merely entertains the meme of like, what if New Thing was old now? Something about Don't Speak specifically just really hits the mark for me, because not only did they reinvent the song, they also took the pain and delusion that the original expresses and just savors it in the most dramatic way possible. Like, hear me out, if Gwen Stefani and No Doubt's version of Don't Speak sounds like a breakup, then PMJ and Haley's version sounds like a divorce. It sounds like a rotting waltz, like a reoccurring good dream that sours with every iteration. So back to that thing about snow globes. While I was planning for this series, I kind of always knew that I wanted to do like a Cinderella-esque comeback by midnight broken fantasy sort of piece with this song. So that's where the shattered snow globe theme sort of came about. But whenever it came to figuring out who I wanted to put inside the snow globe, I had a bit of a hard time, because it was like, personally, I just don't have a lot of characters who have as much golden-coated, smoky-smelling divorce energy that this song gives. So it took me a bit of thinking before I realized that, oh my god, the answer was sitting right there in front of me the entire time! Where some people have gross little stuffed animals that they kind of hold all throughout the toughest parts of their life, I had Daisy Riley. Daisy was one of the first Sims I had ever made since downloading the game on Steam, and at first, really, I just made her with the intention of playing as a pretty girl, but as time went on, my imagination started building this deep interweb lore that was so complicated that I almost wrote a 45-minute long script just to give you the intro. Because I mean, really, making things up is like half the fun when it comes to playing The Sims, and especially when you're only on base game, oh my god, my brain was working overtime. But all you need to know about my Sims is that basically, Daisy was this ambitious fuddy-duddy breadwinner with no friends who suddenly finds herself stumbling into a romance with non-binary lesbian Adam Sandler. I called them Kylie French. Now, Daisy, through my personal interpretation of the game mechanics, had always aspired to be a stage performer of some kind, but never really allowed herself to follow those dreams because she had a whole-ass little brother to raise. So, in order to keep him alive, she basically girl-boss gaslight gatekeep her way into landing a highly coveted spot at NASA. Now, you may be sitting on the other side of the screen thinking, isn't that a little bit overkill? But no! This is Miss Daisy we talking about. You will never ever catch her slacking. It's all or nothing, baby. Now, Kylie, on the other hand, is a stand-up comedian who is talented by nature, but actively chooses to be stupid. My personal headcanon is that they dropped out of culinary school, but still uses some of that knowledge to make like a Michelin 5-star level weed brownie. And god, I mean, this should go without saying, but this pairing had nothing in common, because here we have someone who's clearly not ready to love anyone, and someone who commits to nobody but the bit. In fact, if you want some real tea, these two broke things off before the relationship even started. But say after about a sim week since their initial meeting, one of them pregnant. So between the newborn and the randomized child Kylie was already raising for some reason, they reluctantly shook hands and called it a bond of convenience. So, legally speaking, Kylie and Daisy are wives, but emotionally, they are co-workers in that house. Given the circumstances, they're co-workers who just so happen to have two kids and know what each other's titties look like, but you know, co-workers nonetheless. Life just went too fast for these two Sims to sit down and really reevaluate what they were doing. But by proximity, they kind of had to forge their, I guess, personal lives around each other, if that makes sense. They started picking up on each other's hobbies, patched up where the other lacks, and through time, they sort of took the long, dizzy route to falling in love. And so, as residents of the surrounding neighborhood would grow old and move out and then die out, Daisy and Kylie too would grow old and become grandparents and then move out and then die out. There's a little bit more to the game than what I'm telling you, but in terms of just Daisy and Kylie, that was it. Like, these two clumps of broken code that I've been obsessing over for what feels like my entire life, that was them, they were here, now they're not, and that's it. But okay, so real quick, do y'all know what Neighborhood Stories is? For the non-sim players in the audience, Neighborhood Stories is this randomized algorithm sort of system in The Sims 4 that lets Sims that you're not currently playing with right now make important life decisions on their own without your godly intervention. So some of these life decisions include applying for a job, leaving a job, moving, dying, having a child, dying. You, as the player, of course, have the choice to opt out of this feature, but I personally love Neighborhood Stories because it gives me that controlled chaos that I so deeply crave in a 2-hour session of The Sims. In fact, Neighborhood Stories was what gave me Donnie and Macy, who are my children, Daisy and Kylie's children. However, a running theme that came with me playing with Daisy and Kylie and Donnie and Macy is that I didn't like change. I didn't like that Kylie was raising a randomized child. It completely went against the image I had built for them in my head. And I also didn't like that because of the kids, I kept having to add rooms to this perfectly planned house. I didn't like that I had to move to a bigger lot either. I didn't like that the code kept making Daisy and Kylie fight, so me, the player, had to keep stepping in just to keep this cute couple fantasy alive. And hey, I never even liked when Daisy had to grow old. Birthdays in The Sims 4 are so much fun, but also the bane of my existence. So to combat this, I just kept undoing time and game options until I was, quotes, ready to see the low poly wrinkles under her eyes. And what ended up happening is that I kept cheating away death with this family so much that they outlived a majority of the original neighborhood. Like, no more is Liberty Lee and Summer Holiday and White Travis Scott. No more is Eliza Pancakes and her husband. They're all gone. And I couldn't care less because you know who is still here? Daisy and Kylie and Donnie and Macy. So in turn, I may or may not have broken the game's linear timeline, but can you blame me? Whose idea was it to give my Sims autonomy? Like, my happy home simulator? The very same one that I'd frequently escape to just to have a little control over my life? What are they doing? Just growing up and making all these decisions on their own, threatening to leave me on this mortal coil against my will. I didn't like change. And so when Kylie cheated, my snow globe shattered again. Conveniently for me though, the way that I was playing The Sims just so happened to align with the lyrics of today's song. It looks as though you're letting go, and if it's real, well, I don't want to know. Don't speak, no. Anyways. What's funny is that when I was first planning this video, I picked Daisy and Kylie as the subject because I thought Don't Speak was their song. But what I had come to realize is that this song choice, the leaving of something you loved, the delusional wish of not revival, but the wish to continue something that's already been cut, all of these things are more indicative of me as a player than it is them as a couple, so this is our song now. And to the people in the audience who still have a great grasp on reality, I know that you're probably thinking, my brother in Christ, you're the one playing the video game. And it's like, yeah, I know that. Well, I know that now. But for the people who don't, my girls lived a very, 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 very long life together and then died when I wasn't looking. Daisy's urn, I remember, was found under her side of her bed, which tells me that she probably died in her sleep. Kylie's, on the other hand, was found in their shared bathroom by the sink, which, if you've never played The Sims, I'll just tell you right now that anytime a Sim would feel any sort of extreme, strong, negative emotion, their first instinct would be to go to the nearest bathroom sink and, like, wash their face and talk to themselves in the mirror, calm down. But judging by where the game made Kylie's ashes sit, something tells me that they must have passed on before they could even make it to the faucet, and that made me really, really sad. At first, I was stuck in denial, kind of like I always was with these two Sims. Like, literally, like just ask my sister. Like, the night that Daisy died, I was, like, my ass was, like, doing a eulogy over dinner and speaking as if she was still alive. Like, this is where I was at. But, you know, after doing that, I felt a release. With Daisy, at least, I was quite happy that after the way that I forced her to stay alive for so long, she finally gets to have proper rest, and that's nice. Kylie, though, I think just needs to be a grandmother poltergeist for a little bit for enrichment reasons. They don't haunt the house. They just like come visit the kids and grandchildren every once in a while. And I think that's very sweet. Though one time I did find Kylie like sadly playing Daisy's guitar before zipping back into their old bed to cry under the covers. That poor woman. I miss her too, baby. It's okay. Oh, but at least their relationship gets to be immortalized in amber forever. You know, like Jurassic Park style. Do y'all like this drawing, by the way? I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it kind of pains me sometimes that I'm the only member of the Kylie Daisy fan club, so that makes me like the only person in the world who's able to make fan art of them. And so with their timely departures from my computer, I thought that dedicating an entire drawing, song, and YouTube video to them just felt like the most appropriate thing to do. Oh, right, I never mentioned this in the meat of the video, but besides the whole broken snow globe with the couple inside, a huge theme with this drawing was weddings, because they never had one. My girls got married in the kitchen. I mentioned earlier in the video that each keyframe of pose here is supposed to represent a key moment in their life. So, yeah, everything inside the snow globe is supposed to represent what Kylie and Daisy would have been had they been a more, like, conventional couple. But then the glass breaks and then you see what actually happened is that they met by chance, fucked, like, one time, spun so fast they almost let go. They slowed down, you know, stopped stepping on each other's toes, began to dance better, and then... Anywho, to wrap up this video real quick, I stream on Twitch sometimes. Usually I am editing or drawing. In fact, I actually drew this picture live on freaking Twitch. So if you've ever just wanted to hang out and like watch me doodle and stuff, just pop on over there. It gets crazier than you think. I also have a Ko-Fi, that's basically an online tip jar, but you can also get commissions from me if you'd like me to draw you something. And I don't usually plug my other social medias verbally, but why not? I am on Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter. So if you've ever wanted to find out when I'm streaming or posting videos, or if you just want to ever look at my art in like a still context, go follow me on those. But anyway, that's all for me today. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me talk to you about my children. I will be seeing you next time with another video, but until then, always remember to leap a nerve. Okay?